Hey, this is BJ. Thanks for listening to our show's podcast. If you're a fan of all things geeky, you should check out my other podcast, BJ Shea's Geek Nation. We have new episodes every day, and you can check it out at bjgeeknation.com.
Your wages are being garnished. We can stop that now. It's hard enough to pay your bills when things are good, let alone when a big chunk of your take-home pay is gone before you even get your check. I'm bankruptcy attorney Travis Gagne, and I can stop the garnishment and get the creditors off your back immediately, often the same day as our consultation. Both Chapter 7 and 13 provide bankruptcy relief, but choosing the right chapter is crucial. In a free consultation, we can create a plan to get your finances back under your control. The chapter you choose sets the tone for the next chapter of your life. Please contact me today at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. Today is Seattle Rock Day, and yeah, once again, we are celebrating Seattle's rich rock legacy.
Man, it's been a blast already this morning. We just heard some Mother Love Bone, Heart, Soundgarden, all day long. Some of your favorite Northwest bands are going to be played, and that's it. That's all we're listening to all morning, all afternoon, all night, baby.
And the thing is man, that, you know, that just goes to show you the rich history, because you could do that, and you really wouldn't think anything of it.
Yeah, you can't
like,
do Wisconsin Rock Day.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's you know what? I like to go, well, let's go with Denver Rock Day. We've done it before, where we've made fun of Denver because, like, well, who are they? Because they, you know, and now that they've got Russell Wilson, even more reason to make fun of Denver.
Yeah, they got a dumb quarterback now.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And they don't got, what do they got for music, really? I mean, I know they've had some people, but not
Bob
like
Denver, and that's about it, right?
Bob Denver, yes, he's definitely the only guy there. And the cool thing about Seattle Rock Day is, for the third year in a row, we are spotlighting and supporting the amazing work of SMASH, which is Seattle Musicians Access to Sustainable Healthcare. And their job is simple. They want to make sure that our musicians get proper and affordable health care, because they give you great music. You don't even think about the fact that, you know, they don't got medical benefits, a lot of these folks.
And the cool thing is, all morning, all day, we're trying to raise $10,000 for the local musicians, and we're doing some online auctions, BJ, that close today at 5 p.m. So if you're interested in some cool memorabilia, signed stuff, cool posters, cool guitar things, and all that kind of stuff, just go to KSW.com. You'll see stuff from artists like Volbeat, Hailstorm, Mastodon, Royal Blood, Jerry Cantrell, Chester Bennington, a bunch of other artists as well. Just some stuff that we've had here at the station that we're hoping that will raise money for SMASH.
Yeah, get some cool stuff for, like, you know, the cool room in your house, and you're helping out a great cause too. So, like Steve said, you can go bid on those auction items and get all the info you want at KISW.com. It's Seattle Rock Day, presented by Palace Law.
Let's play B-Migs. It's time to play the jam.
Yeah.
Do everybody scream his name. B-Migs, don't be a loser. Whoa! B-Migs, you're a loser.
It is time for B-Migs, and it's Thursday, so let's get cracking!
Release the Kraken.
Sploosh! And yes, the Kraken lost last night, but maybe they won't lose tonight.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go
To Chicago.
Yeah, to Chicago. Yeah, let's hopefully make that happen. And yes, like we've said, it is Seattle Rock Day, so I decided to put together some Seattle Rock Day questions for B-Migs. So it might be some toughies. Well, hopefully the people that participate know their Seattle Rock. Yeah. Because you know Steve does. Exactly. And so we'll have to find out if Sean in Gig Harbor knows that. Sean, are you there?
Yeah, I am, Rev.
Excellent. All right, Steve, get out of here. For those playing at home, Sean will have 60 seconds to answer 10 questions. Sean, you can pass all you want, but you'll only get 3 guesses per question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Which film features the members of Pearl Jam in a fictional band called Citizen Dick?
Single.
Yes. In which song does Jimi Hendrix sing, "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky"?
Purple Haze.
Yes. What was the title of Nirvana's second studio album?
Bleach.
No.
I should totally know his path.
Finish the title of the Queensryche album, Operation what?
Was it Nevermind for Nirvana?
Yes.
Pass on the Queensryche.
Which ticket broker did Pearl Jam famously feud with?
Ticketmaster.
Yes. What is the last name of the sisters who front the band Heart?
Wilson.
Yes. Early on, Soundgarden signed on to which well-known local record label?
Sub Pop.
Yes. Founded in 97. Which band is Ben Gibbard the frontman of?
Screaming Trees?
No.
Pass.
Touch Me, I'm Sick is a known single from which early grunge band?
Pass.
Child of the State, Aaron Jones's first major label record release was in what year?
2021.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, correct.
All right, that's not horrible.
No, it's a pretty good score right there.
I'm glad he got that second question because that would have been a beating if that was the difference maker. Because Steve's going to get that one.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it's one that'll kind of throw you for a loop until you think about it. And I had to Google it to make sure. So
yeah, and Steve should get, I believe, the third question. Even I can get that, and so hopefully that's not the difference maker.
We'll have to see how this works out.
But Steve's, he might get a perfect 10.
He might get a perfect 10, but you never know. He could brain fart and completely just
let's hope.
Yeah, let's hope. Steve, are you ready?
Ah, yes.
Which film features members of Pearl Jam in a fictional band called Citizen Dick?
Singles.
Yes. In which song does Jimi Hendrix sing "Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky"?
Purple Haze.
Yes. What was the title of Nirvana's second studio album?
Nevermind.
Yes. Finish the title of the Queensryche album, Operation What?
Mind Crime.
Yes. Which ticket broker did Pearl Jam famously feud with?
Ticketmaster.
Yes. What is the last name of the sisters who front the band Heart?
Wilson.
Yes.
Wilson.
Early on, Soundgarden signed on to which well-known label?
Oh, Sub Pop.
Yes. Founded in 97, what band is Ben Gibbard the frontman of?
Death Cab for Cutie.
Yes. Touch Me, I'm Sick is a known single from which early grunge band?
I'm sick. Mudhoney.
Yes.
Redone a Touch Me, I'm Dick in singles.
Is it really?
Yeah, for Citizen Dick.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Child of the State, Aaron Jones's first major record release was in what year?
2021?
Yes, and Steve, you get that perfect 10, and you win 10-7.
Sorry, Sean.
That's okay. I knew I had no shot once I heard what the category was.
Yeah, well, you did. You were respectable, man. You got more than I would have.
Yeah, you did pretty good there.
Yeah.
All I do is win,
buddy.
There he goes.
no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get it.
Everyone's dancing.
This is the fish in the barrel edition of Beat Me.
Kind of, you know.
My favorite ever beat mix.
And they say that.
But it's good because maybe some other people get some trivia about what's going on out there with the Seattle rock scene and what has happened.
The only one that got me a little bit twisted was, because I'm not a lyrics guy, was Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
Purple
you
Haze.
paused
I was
a little bit on that.
Well, because I was nervous. I'm like, if I don't get this one right, I feel like I'm just going to get crucified.
I think if you would have missed any of them. Yeah, I mean, there were some ones that I was like, well, I don't know if the lister's going to get them. It'd be amazing if they did. And I was trying to make them a little tougher for you, but I mean,
that's not possible.
I know.
I mean, the dude moved out here to be basically in Seattle music scene. He was in love with it since he was like what, 12.
Yeah, obsessed. Obsessed with the Seattle music scene.
I mean, that's like
it
me.
was my everything.
Yeah.
It's like asking me Star Trek questions. It's like Star Trek Beat Migs is what it is would be for me. I mean, there's
Pretty
no way
much.
Steve's not going to get it.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be like a Thanos beat mix for Rev.
Yeah.
For Vicky, OnlyFans edition of no, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
that's it.
The Crow.
The Crow, that's solid.
Yeah, or anything DIY with Vicky nowadays.
And for Danny, Dion's Pizza edition of
that's it.
Where
Pizza
the question is,
edition.
what is the worst pizza place from New Mexico?
You could ask that for all 10 questions. Actually.
Yes.
Well, congrats on your
Case is
perfect.
pissed.
Well,
Gonna comment on you guys.
The truth hurts. What do you want to say? I mean, Danny knows the truth.
Lies. Yeah, dude. So I remember the movie Singles, which the movie's whatever. The soundtrack's incredible, but one of my favorite things about it is in the movie, they had the band called Citizen Dick, which is what Matt Dillon with the members of Pearl Jam as his backing members, and it's pretty funny. I had the shirt too, which I thought was a lot of people did. They made T-shirts of like the logo, but their hit song was "Touch Me, I'm Dick" for Citizen Dick instead, which was it was just a rip-off of the Mudhoney song "Touch Me, I'm Sick," but they just replaced the words.
And I had no idea. I'm glad you know what it's because obviously I'm not as steeped into the tradition as you are. Had no idea that was actually a rip-off of a real song. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Just another example of the collaboration of the Seattle musicians here. Mudhoney and just everything was just, it's just why the scene was great too. You just had moments like that you didn't know about that everybody got to be part of.
And that's my favorite part about that movie is that there's like these nice, fun little nuggets throughout the whole movie. Like Chris Cornell's in it, of course, and they have like a live performance. Like there's scenes in the movie where they're at an Alice in Chains show or Soundgarden's playing, and all that kind of stuff was like. As a Seattle music fan, it was a cool, in a weird way, like love letter to the Seattle music scene that what Cameron Crowe put together.
Yeah, and of course Cameron Crowe is fantastic. We've had the opportunity to talk to him. I love a lot of the movies that he's done. He's that he's that meticulous when he puts together movies. And all those Easter eggs you talked about, Steve. That's the fun part when you watch a movie and go, oh, look at that, all the little hidden gems. Love that. Well, we are talking Seattle Rock because, today is Seattle Rock Day. And recently, a member of our show chatted with Jack White, and he shared some great memories of the White Stripes playing in the Northwest. You'll hear those stories at 7:17 after Jimmy on Seattle Rock Day.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. Today, it's Seattle Rock Day. That means all day long. All day long. Not just our show, but all day long we're playing some of your favorite bands from the area and sharing some of our favorite stories about the Seattle music scene. And last week on the Megacast, good old Steve Biggs, you got to chat with Jack White, huh?
Dude, it was awesome because he's got a couple, he's not just one, but 2 records coming out. He's also going to be doing Climate Pledge Arena in a few months. And we were just BSing. And at one point I thought it was funny. He just casually mentions how he's friends with Eddie Vedder. And I almost was going to be like, is Eddie cool? But I was like, okay.
What's he like?
Yeah, but it was fun just chatting music with the guy. And I mentioned how I've seen the White Stripes and also some of his other bands live. But some of my favorite memories were seeing them many years ago here, obviously in Seattle and Olympia and Seattle as well. And we just got chatting about just the Northwest music scene and just how much it meant to him to play here in the Northwest. It's crazy as a fan, like I'm thinking about like White Stripes playing like a small place like the Sit and Spin in Seattle back when that place existed. So then I remember like one of my all-time favorite shows, still to this day when people ask me a favorite show, I think it was 2002, I think, you played the Capitol Theater in Olympia. And I will always say, I felt like I was at a church and your guitar was the pastor. And it was just like, we were all just... Wow. It was like that perfect mix of the crowd. I mean, you sounding great, both of you up there sounding amazing, and then the crowd was just giving it right back.
Those were some of our favorite places to play. I knew we had like from Seattle, was it Seattle and Eugene and Olympia, and then down to San Francisco. Like that stretch was always great crowds early on for us. Like, wow, incredibly how much people just really love music in that whole area, that whole zone of the country. We thought, wow, it's just great because you kind of hope that you go to these other towns you've never been to before and that people will be cool or there'll be something interesting or there'll be some common ground. And we definitely got it up there, man. Yeah, I'm glad that you were at that show. That's great. I haven't thought about that show in a while.
Triggering memories, BJ.
Look at you, man, huh? Look at you. Well, you could tell. You could tell when you were initially talking to him about it. He was like, "Oh, yeah," Those were powerful shows for him too.
Well, it's funny because I talked to his label guy, his manager, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, Jack is got a photographic memory about every concert he's ever played. So he wasn't just acting like as if he knew what you were talking about. Like he remembers almost every single performance and concert and why it was fun. So it wasn't like as if like he was like, oh, that's a cool show. Like he legit remembered playing that show."
So when Jack tells you he's got some cool stories about the early days of the White Stripes and them being in the Pacific Northwest and hanging with a couple of Northwest bands, he actually remembers that.
Yeah, and in this part we talk about just how like there was a band, Sleater-Kinney, who was a very popular band.
Oh, yeah.
They were the band that gave the White Stripes one of their first big opportunities to tour.
We were on tour with Sleater-Kinney in 2000, I think it was. And I think we had 2 albums we had done. And, we never got any offers from major labels or anybody interested in us or anything like that. And us being on a Sleater-Kinney tour, I was like, wow, that's really nice that we're able to do that. That's really cool for us to be able to get in front of some other crowds. And we showed up the first day, and there was another 2-piece band from Olympia called COC. And I thought, oh no, it's like a gimmick. They want to have two. They want to have two-piece bands with both have a boy and a girl in them. Like, I see what they're doing. Okay, we didn't know that. Maybe we wouldn't have signed up for it. So I was apprehensive at first, but then I grew to love, and we became friends. And we realized halfway through that tour, wow, people are really digging this. Wow, the response that people were giving our band as a warm-up band was really interesting. Wow. I thought, well, this is wild. And then it gave us the opportunity to come back on our own. That was about the time where I thought, wow, things are just starting to get interesting here.
How funny that they were just effing with them. It's like, well, great. Now we're just another two-piece guy-girl band.
Yeah.
Not realizing, no, they just liked both of those bands. It was just a coincidence.
Man. It was Slater-Kinney with Carrie Brownstein from Portlandia?
Yes. That was how I knew her. Like, I didn't know her for any of her acting stuff, like, because that acting stuff came after Slater-Kinney. But
yeah, and yeah. I didn't know her for any of her music stuff. That's and let me just say this. I mean, talk about somebody who really, I mean, talented on both sides of the spectrum. That isn't fair. I mean, it's like some of us are not talented at all, and here's Carrie who really knocks it out of the park in both genres.
I don't know how much you would. I feel like you probably would be. You would get down with the music of Slater-Kinney. Like, I mean, especially they have one record called "Dig Me Out" that was kind of like the record that almost made them become a bigger band than they were. They were a popular band here, but they were never huge. But that record, I think you would dig.
All right, you know what? You give me something to look at. It's it's really cool when you hear stories like that. And boy, you're absolutely right, Steve, about his manager's right. I mean, this guy. It's amazing how much he remembers and has a clear memory about all the things that he's done in the world of music.
Here's a super fun interview. Even one person said, "Hey, I listened to it and it was a blast. It felt like two dudes just chatting, other than just like an interview. He sounds like a real interesting, down to earth dude." And Jack White couldn't be nicer. And the whole interview's up in last week's episode of the Megacast, which is available at Odyssey. The app on Odyssey, and also KSW.com.
That's awesome. Good job, man. He does sound like a good dude.
It's the lukewarm topic of the day.
So, of course, we're talking about Seattle Rock Day. We're talking about the Megacast interview that Steve did with Jack White as he was sharing some of his favorite memories playing the Pacific Northwest. And, well, look, that's what we love talking about, especially as, maybe the days are ticking by for some of us, and you go, I remember when. We want to know, man. We want to know your Seattle rock story, man. We want to know your favorite memories from the Seattle music scene. 206-421-ROCK. Text us at 77999. What is your Seattle rock story? What is your favorite memory of the Seattle music scene? 206-421-ROCK. Text us at 77999. We got your calls. We got your texts after the Screaming Trees on Seattle Rock Day.
BJ and Migs, mornings on The Rock, 99.9 KISW.
99.9 KISW, the Rock of Seattle. And today is Seattle Rock Day, and what we want to hear are your Seattle rock stories. What is your favorite memory of the Seattle music scene? 206-421-ROCK. Text us at 77999.
Again, lots of text, BJ, some fun ones. I think this might be my favorite text ever, though, about Seattle Rock Day. I once did some repairs at Eddie Vedder's house. I was working, and I just started whistling the hook to Black. I didn't know he was within earshot. Then all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, that sounds like a cool song that you're whistling." That was Eddie Vedder. I was so embarrassed. He was so cool. He signed my copy of 10, which was in my work truck.
Nice. Awesome.
Do you remember...
Wow.
I don't know if you were a big Letterman fan, but when Letterman first found... And I think they cover it a lot in the Pearl Jam documentary, but when Letterman first discovered Pearl Jam, it was on the first record, and he was obsessed with the song Black, the do-do-do-do-do-do part.
Yeah.
And he would just randomly do that from time to time on the show. And there's always a great story from Eddie, like where he was like sitting watching Letterman, and Dave's looking into the camera going, Eddie, and then like trying to get him to come on the show.
Yeah.
And then eventually, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure it's like I'm missing some key cool moments, but at some point, eventually, Eddie comes through the doors, and the band they do Pearl Jam's Black.
That's awesome.
Which is kind of how crazy that. I mean, the whole story coming from Eddie's perspective was just nuts, because he's like, they were still not huge yet. They were building to becoming this huge band. But then there's David Letterman, a guy that he was a fan of, just singing the hook as a joke on his show, like as an ongoing bit.
Yeah, man, that's and that you're absolutely right. His love for that band. I didn't realize it.
Obsessive.
I thought. sometimes you go, okay, these shows have to put on the hot new acts. That's what they're going to do. I did not know until that documentary just how much of a big fan that Letterman was of Pearl Jam. And that's a fun story. That's a really great story.
I can't remember when it was, but at some point during it was I can't remember why, but it was some kind of a moment on Dave's show, maybe an anniversary, maybe it was towards the end of his thing where he had 5 straight nights with Pearl Jam, and he's done that a few times, I think, where Pearl Jam just played every night for a week.
Yeah, man, I'm one of the weirdest Pearl Jam fans because I think I've listened to their latter albums more than I've ever listened to 10, as far as multiple times. And I have my favorite Seattle rock moments are really very contemporary. And really anytime we get to chat with Mike McCready, because my brain just cannot believe what a down-to-earth, just good dude that Mike is. And he's always, been great on our show. He shared stuff that's just man, all the stuff that he's gone through, and yet doesn't ever seem to complain about anything. And just, just a great dude in general. And I really treasure the moments wow, here, I get to talk to this guy who's making music that I love now. I love what Pearl Jam is doing now. It speaks to me, and I was never the guy like you, Steve, where it spoke to you when you were a much younger man, because I was in my 30s, I had kids. Pearl Jam just wasn't speaking to me at that time of my life when they first came out. But I feel like I'm so in sync with that band. So that's my favorite moments are anytime we get to chat with Mike.
Oh, Mike's the
best. He's just such a great dude.
He's so down to earth, and it's sometimes the stories he shares off the air are just so
yes.
My gosh, that is he'll share some of the insane memories of Pearl Jam in their earlier days when they were maybe just a little bit more experimental in some of the ways they approached their performances, and then you go and see him, and then here he is playing in front of a sold out baseball stadium, and everybody in the band is very fun to watch. They all have their own kind of vibe going on, whatever it may be. But McCready's got the McCready section for a reason. People will specifically make it a point, and myself included, that when you go see them live, you want to be on Mike McCready's side of the stage because he gives it every amount of effort. He's just losing his mind up on stage, and it's so much fun. He gets that crowd riled up. Every time he's up on stage, it seems like he's still 15, and he's this is so cool. I'm playing in front of a lot of people, even though he does it all the time.
I know. Boy, that's the other thing too, man. The idea that he does have that childlike jubilee, man. Jubilation, I should say. All right, so I'm wondering about Danny, because you're relatively new to Seattle, and yet you are a music fan. So I'm wondering what your favorite Seattle music memory is for you.
Well, of course, I didn't grow up with the Seattle sound and being a huge fan, but I did grow up with the punk scene, and of course, it's MXPX. And when I first moved here 6 years ago, being able to go see MXPX in Seattle at Numos, that was the pinnacle of my life, of being able to see a band from Seattle that I grew up with.
One of your all-time favorite bands you have a tattoo of.
I have a tattoo of them and all their albums, and so it was just one of those surreal moments for me of I got to grow up with them, seeing them play them all over Bremerton, and then they would play Seattle, and it's this is amazing, and just in that moment, yes.
So, for a lot of people who aren't maybe moved out here, a huge Nirvana fan, you make it a point to go to Aberdeen, even though there's really nothing to do in Aberdeen other than to see the sign that says Kurt Cobain was here.
Yeah.
Did you make it a point to go to Bremerton just because of the fact they have a song "Move to Bremerton"?
I did.
That's awesome.
And it was that song specifically. It was I gotta go check out Bremerton, and you get there, and it was
what the hell is this?
What do I do in Bremerton? Oh, we go to all the different spots.
Well, and also, a cool thing, I was thinking about Danny over the weekend because I'm he's such a big MXPX fan. You went to Arizona to go see MXPX, and the guitarist of MXPX put you on their guest list.
Yeah.
Which, that's pretty freaking cool.
That is awesome.
It's such a full circle moment for me because, through my connections that I've had here, some friends that have worked with them and stuff, I've met Tom, and now we're Instagram buddies, and he threw me on the guest list. And it was one of those things of just this was their first shows back since the pandemic. And it was and it's their 30th year as being a band.
Which is nuts.
It's just, I got the shirt on today because I was Seattle Rock.
Instagram friend sounds like your BFFs.
We're
man.
BFFs. Yeah, we are.
Well, he's on the list in Arizona. I don't know if you're up. I don't know if you're. I don't know if you're Seattle guest list worthy yet.
Yeah, that could be trouble. That could be big trouble.
Because I was laughing about that with Castle and I before the world shut down. It still bums me out, but I know they're doing some shows again. But I don't know if we'll be able to make it now with a kid and stuff. But we were supposed to go see Pearl Jam in Oakland, and they were putting us on the guest list. I'm I bet being put on the Pearl Jam guest list is a lot easier in Oakland than it is in Seattle.
Yeah.
In Seattle, it's like, I got to imagine, I would love to see what their guest list is. It's got to be everybody and their sister hitting them up.
Yep. Yeah,
like
the hometown guest
every
list.
other band.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Guys,
I think
remember
you're
we
right,
showed a
Steve.
practice space? Come on, hook me up with 4 tickets.
If you go to Oakland, I will.
And someone said, Danny, you'll appreciate this. I saw MXPX back in the late 90s in Port Orchard with about 25 people in attendance.
Wow.
That's the craziest story because when I first moved to, Rev saw that I had an MXPX shirt. He's like, I saw them at a church.
Yeah. I saw them at a church show with 90 Pound Wuss, which was just another punk band. It was like punk bands at a church. I'm like,
90 Pound Wuss. I forgot about those guys.
Oh, yeah. It was very interesting to see the crowd react to that.
See, those are my favorites when you hear the stories. Like someone said, hey, I saw Mother Love Bone at the Kent Skate King back in 1987, which is crazy because I'm pretty sure it's the same show, but I've watched that on YouTube. It's an awesome concert of them performing at a roller rink in Kent.
So cool.
And the place is packed. And the late Sean Smith, I believe, was like in the front row watching them, which is pretty surreal, just knowing like his ties to the band and music. And then I remember there's one scene where like Andrew Wood's up on stage and he's a rock star and he's just feeling the moment and all the fans are like reaching their hands towards him and one woman just let her hand go where she wanted to let her hand go and just started going up his leg and right to the groin area.
Wow.
And she's just going for it. And you just see him like in full rock star struts backwards. So he's like, yep, got to get this hand up my wiener schnitzel.
Damn.
But he did it in such like a nonchalant way. Like it wasn't like, oh, get off of me. It was just like, gonna just move away from this girl grabbing me.
Slide away.
Wow. Today is Seattle Rock Day, which is why you're hearing wiener schnitzel stories like that. All day long, we're playing your favorite bands from the Pacific Northwest. And here's Queensryche on the Rock.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Travis Gagne, bankruptcy attorney. He's here right now and has agreed to answer more of your questions about bankruptcy. Here's another listener question. How do I rebuild my credit after filing bankruptcy?
You rebuild it, one creditor at a time by making your payments on time on your rent or your mortgage, by continuing to make car payments on a car that you keep during your case. You can also, as I said earlier, you can almost always get a credit card almost immediately after filing bankruptcy. Sometimes it's a secured card and it'll almost always have a really high interest rate on it, but you can get a small balance credit card and charge a tank of gas or a dinner once a month on that and make the payment, pay it off every month, and that'll help you build a credit history one creditor at a time and will help you rebuild your credit over time.
Thanks, Travis. If you have more questions about bankruptcy, you can reach out to Travis anytime at choosetherightchapter.com. That's choosetherightchapter.com. Thanks for listening.